bomb explosion in Russia resulted in the death of one of Putin's prominent supporters and left several others injured. The incident has caused widespread panic in the country. The explosion is expected to have a significant impact on Russia, particularly among individuals who support the war. In this video, we will provide an explanation of the explosion and the latest updates. Shall we begin now? I want to point out that there have been multiple explosions in Russia since its invasion of Ukraine, including military airports and oil warehouses. Even Russia's fuel tankers and railway systems have exploded several times. These incidents seem to make Putin quite nervous. Security measures have been intensified by Putin and his schedules constantly changed in response to a series of explosions targeting pro-Putin figures all over Russia. Despite extraordinary measures put in place, the explosions have not stopped. One such victim of these attacks was journalist Daria Digina, a prominent supporter of the Russian military, who was killed last year in a car bomb attack near Moscow. The woman who died was Alexander Dugin's daughter, and he was a close ally of Putin as an ultra-nationalist philosopher. This death was surprising to Russia, but an even more shocking event has occurred. A pro-Russian president named Vladimir Putin military blogger was killed in a cafe explosion in St. Petersburg, Russia. The Russian government has reported that 31 people were injured in the incident. 31 people were injured in the attack, with 8 of them in serious condition. Unfortunately, the death toll is expected to increase. It is believed that the person the attacker was targeting is Vladlen Tatarsky, a prominent blogger in Russia who frequently expressed opinions in support of war. In his writings, Tatarsky vigorously endorsed Putin and the war, which garnered considerable publicity in Russia. Tatarsky gained more attention after reporting from the front and later from the Kremlin Palace. It was widely acknowledged that Tatarsky had Putin's backing. Eventually, Tatarsky's remarks became more extreme. Tatarsky stated that they planned to engage in conquering and looting without any restrictions. He even mentioned the possibility of killing everyone. Tatarsky has as strong as evidenced by his half-A. He also makes regular appearances. Tatarsky felt proud to speak at a program in St. Petersburg, a famous city in Russia. He received a lot of attention at the venue and had a conversation with someone who also supported Putin's views. Afterward, he was called onto the stage where he received a gift box that he later opened. At that moment, Tatarsky realized that there was a statue inside the box and everyone was watching him. He picked up the statue happily and examined it while the people in the hall applauded. Then, he returned the statue to the box. An explosion occurred when Tatarsky placed a statue he was holding into a box. Experts say that the statue was actually a bomb. The explosion caused the destruction of the cafe and led to injuries of people inside. The blast also seriously injured other pro-Putin writers who were sitting in the front row. How did the box and statue end up in the hall, and who killed Tatarsky? The Russian investigative committee stated that a 26-year-old woman named Daria Truva has been arrested after security camera footage showed her entering the hall with a large box. As per a report by a local news website, Yevgeny Pryzon, who was the head of the Wagner Group, used to own this cafe. St. Petersburg is widely recognized as Putin's most significant city in Russia, given that Putin served here for several years. The explosion that happened in this crucial city exposes the considerable security vulnerability in Russia. According to street camera footage, Daria Tripova walks casually with the box in her hand. Then, after entering the living room, she sits in the corner furthest from the bots. After a while, when the box was opened, she knew very well that she was gonna die, so she experienced great fear as soon as the package was opened. After laying down on the floor to shield his face, he sustained only minor injuries and was later apprehended. However, there is little information available about Daria Tripova, the 26-year-old Russian woman involved in the incident, as there has been limited coverage in the Russian press. The case is still unclear as the Kremlin administration has not made a statement regarding the incident.
Now, the Russian officials have charged a woman suspected of involvement in a bombing that killed pro-Russian blogger Vladlen Tatarsky. The woman in question is Daria Tripova. She's been charged for terrorism and was taken to a Moscow court on Tuesday after her arrest in St. Petersburg. The court has further ruled that the 26-year-old should remain in custody till the 2nd of June.
A report in the Russian press claims that Daria Tripova confessed to the crime while crying in an inaudible manner, and a recording of this was shared. However, some experts suggest that the recording may have been made under duress. There are conflicting views about Daria Trepova's innocence in the attack, with some believing she was manipulated by her attackers, while the Russian government denies these claims. In addition, Russian news agencies are not covering the story extensively, and pro-war writers are reportedly experiencing fear, leading to the cancellation of their programs, though the reason for this is not specified.
Make his memory alive is to win this war. It was a man for whom the victory was most important thing in the world.
His wife accompanied the coffin as his body was laid to rest. Tatarsky was a vocal supporter of the war in Ukraine.
There have been increased security measures in Russia and changes to Putin's programs. According to reports, Putin was scared and called a meeting of Russian intelligence officers. It's expected that the war will bring about significant changes. Putin, who is a former intelligence officer, expressed his anger towards the intelligence officers over the incident.
A grand farewell for one of Russia's well-known military bloggers. The body of 40-year-old Vladimir Tatarsky was brought to the Troye-Kurevskaya cemetery in Moscow, where hundreds attended, including the head of the Wagner mercenary group.
This incident has caused a major crisis within the Kremlin, as Putin tends to blame the Russian authorities for similar events, which is creating tension within the government. There are reports that Russian officials, including commanders, bureaucrats, and ministers, are at odds with President Putin.
Tatarsky is being remembered as a Russian hero, and at the end of his funeral, a video of him was shown where he said, "Victory will be ours." For now, only one person has been arrested in connection to his murder, while federal security services believe an organized group was behind the attack in St. Petersburg on April 2nd.
Some Russians believe that this could lead to an increase in pensions. There are also concerns about a potential military coup and a perceived loss of power by Putin.
The Russian investigative committee, which probes major crimes, said that Trepova acted on orders from figures based in Ukraine and committed a terror attack by an organized group. The detention of Daria Trepova for the murder of Tatarsky has raised questions.
The recent bomb explosion in St. Petersburg may further elevate tensions and possibly have significant impacts on Russia. That's all about today's video. If you need more news and updates about Russian war and other issues, you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you for sticking to the end.